Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to speak on behalf of the ACT Party in response to the Prime Minister's statement earlier today. The previous speaker lamented the vision that the Prime Minister outlined and the plans he has put in place for moving New Zealand forward, with an emphasis on the economy, and the ACT Party is very supportive, of course, as one would expect, of that approach. And I would comment, Mr Speaker, that at least the government has a vision for this country, unlike the speech delivered today by the Leader of the Opposition, who would have been much better advised to, in fact, read out Sir Roger Douglas's speech that he provided for him yesterday. That aside, Mr Speaker, I was delighted as Associate Minister of Education to see the statements that the Prime Minister made today regarding education. He said, and I quote, "Reform is needed to better equip New Zealanders, particularly young New Zealanders, to face the significant economic challenges they will face in an increasingly competitive world. In this regard, there is no more important area for reform than education." He is absolutely correct, Mr Speaker. Education is the key to improving people's opportunities and chances of leading a productive life and contributing well to society. He went on to say, Mr Speaker, "This government views our education system as one of the fundamental tools for creating an egalitarian society where all New Zealanders have an opportunity to succeed." Reaching their full potential, Mr Speaker, is what we should be aiming at for each and every one of our young people attending schools. The National ACT Confidence and Supply Agreement was discussed by the ACT leader Rodney Hyde in his speech in response to the Prime Minister's speech earlier today too. He outlined the successes that we've had in the past year and where we would like to put our emphasis in the coming year. One of the areas in our Confidence and Supply Agreement that I want to talk about this evening was that of education. We put together our inter-party working group to consider and report on policy options relating to funding and regulation of schools that will increase parental choice and school autonomy. The important part of that, of course, is enhancing school choice. The National Party before the last election stated that they will work over time to increase the education choices available to parents and pupils so families have more freedom to select schooling options that best meet the individual needs of their children. ACT, of course, has always campaigned hard on school choice. We want to see greater choice and competition in education. That's very important, Mr Speaker, because we need to lift the level of education across the board. The Inter-Party Working Group worked steadfastly through last year, and we're looking forward to soon releasing our report. The group which I chaired was made up of National Party MPs Hekia Parata, Chester Burrows and Jonathan Young, Māori Party MP Tuaroa Flavell, and I was joined from the ACT Party by Sir Roger Douglas. We visited a number of schools who excel in each of their areas. They varied widely from kura kaupapa schools to small area schools, through to some of the larger urban schools. Each of them, Mr Speaker, had one common theme. That was that they explored the greatest potential of their students and focused heavily on outcomes, which of course is what we want to see from all schools. So why is choice important? Why does ACT promote and campaign every election on school choice? The answer is a simple one, Mr Speaker. That is that education is not one size fits all. Those people who have two children will know that no two are exactly alike, and that their educational opportunities, their abilities vary widely. And one cannot assume that just because the school around the corner might be the closest to where they live, that that is the school that best suits their needs or that will produce the outcomes that we want every child to have the opportunity to reach. To create and maintain an economically productive and competitive country, we must provide every New Zealand child with a quality education that enables them to participate in modern society. That means every child, Mr Speaker, should be able to read a bus timetable, should be able to read and write and have numeracy skills that allows him or her to get through everyday life. While some of our students are obtaining very high levels of achievement, our current education system still fails 1 in 5 students. And this, if it's not of concern, should be to each and every MP in this House. These students that fail and are not reaching the required standard are not equipped with the skills necessary to make a meaningful contribution to New Zealand society. ACT proposes and has always proposed an education system that promotes accountability, innovation and creates real incentives for schools to raise standards and address student failure. Now that's not mission impossible. Many schools already achieve that, but sadly too many are not. It's possible by extending school choice to parents and providing every family with the right to select the education that is best suited to their child. This is an important part of any democratic society. Such a system would entail encouraging a range of providers to enter the market. It allows schools autonomy and provides families with funding that followed their child to any school they selected. Importantly, this system would be supported by the provision of good information on schools to parents and a competent workforce of teachers. The national standards, Mr. Speaker, have been in the news for the last couple of weeks. It's actually pretty difficult to understand the vocal opposition that the opponents of national standards are at the moment in the midst of in a frenzy to slow down the progress and to, in some cases, stop them. The national standards are, in fact, a particularly valuable contribution to our current education system. They will provide clear benchmarks against which expected levels of student achievement can be measured, and they provide parents with the information that they want, in fact that they demand and have requested on their child's educational progress. If student failure is to be attacked, and it should be, it has to be identified and addressed. National standards are crucial to this happening in a meaningful way. And if parents, Mr. Speaker, are to be active participants in their children's education, they need to have a clear idea of how they're progressing, how they're doing, what they can and cannot do, and the quality of education that their school is providing. A well-educated society ensures that every member has the capability to make a significant contribution. This is the making of a productive and prosperous country capable of overcoming challenges and participating in an increasingly globalised and sophisticated society. So why are national standards important? I've touched on some of the reasons. The government has responded to a request from parents asking for access to clear and plain language reporting on their child's progress. Any parent will be able to tell you of reports that they have read where they do not understand the language that's being used, they do not understand what the teacher is trying to tell them, and they certainly in many respects are not a reflection of the child that they know. Parents access information in any way they can. Formally when this is available, and sadly this is too often not the case, and informally through networks. Many people, Mr. Speaker, choose a school, particularly mothers, will choose a school for their child when they have a choice as a result of what others around them are telling them, information that they're getting in a very informal sense. This isn't the best way to make decisions, but they are getting information of one sort. Parents have a right to the same information that is available to schools. If parents are to be active participants, as I said previously, in their children's education, they need a clear idea of how their child is progressing and the quality of the education their school is providing. Parents do want information on their child's progress, and the national standards provide the infrastructure to ensure that this is available. The policy has drawn criticism and generated much controversy. But why, Mr. Speaker? Why should we be content with 1 in 5 of our school children failing? The fact that we're content as a nation to sit by and allow this continue, allow the status quo to continue, is a terrible injustice and needs to be addressed. That's why, Mr. Speaker, school choice is important. That's why the ACT Party will continue to promote it, and why I'm looking forward to being able to release the report that the Inter-Party Working Group has worked long and hard to produce, and it will look at ways, it will inform the country on ways that school choice can be put into place so that all children benefit and the level of education across the board, not just in the good schools, is enhanced